time for another round of cat food to be made. I'm going to make 6 tubs. The tubs last about a day and a quarter. Now, I buy the cat beef in these containers. So I have this 900 gram pot of cat food. I'm going to separate that into these 6 containers, including the one it's in. Very important that this meat has been in the freezer beforehand, so that any bacteria that could be on it at all has been removed. And 5 of these tubs are going to go back into the freezer, ready for when I take them out. I've pre-cooked and frozen some pumpkin. It's just pumpkin cooked in water and no salt. Cats do not need salt. So we're going to add this. Now, 25 to 30% of a cat's meal can be made from vegetables. And I'm going to use up this entire bag. And I know that by the time we've added chicken and fish, the vegetable proportion will be down to about 25%. Today I've got some peas to add to their meal. And Diego is helping me make his cat food here. Normally I make it in that great big bowl and stir it together. I'm doing it differently now that I've got enough of these big cat food containers. Now in this bag I've pre-frozen liver and raw chicken. And what I've done is I put the chicken and the liver into a blender when it was still slightly frozen, and then I blended it pretty much to a pulp. Around 10 to 15% of a cat's meal really should contain organ meat, especially liver, because there are so many goodies in liver, so many nutrients and vitamins and minerals. Most of this mix is actually liver, and it's chicken livers. I've got kittens giving me leg hugs, telling me that, no, we didn't eat enough before, Mummy, we're still hungry, we think you should give us that now. In here, I've got pre-cooked millet. Millet is a grain, and it's particularly good for cats. It's got high nutrients and minerals in it as well, and cats can eat a certain amount of grain. When a cat lives in the wild and hunts and eats birds and mice, they also eat the contents of their stomach, which usually contains a bit of vegetables and a bit of grain, which is why I'm adding this to their diet. There are also carbohydrates in millet, so particularly since my cats are 4 months old, they still need carbohydrate because they're kittens, they move around a lot and they need energy, and since these cats are indoor cats, they can't get out to catch wild animals. A while back I cooked some potato and added loads of silverbeet for carbohydrate and for all the nutrients in the silverbeet. They're going to get a spoonful of this in each container. Silverbeet also has iron in it. I bought a big can of salmon and put about a quarter of it into their last week's meals. This week I'm going to use up the bag because it's thawed. Now, salmon has got the omega oils in it, which we all need actually, and it's also got taurine, which is an enzyme that the body produces itself. The cats need a high amount of taurine in their diet. Let's have a look at what we've got here. So far we've got about 5% of that is millet, and so far we've got about 20% of that is vegetable and the rest is meat and fish. I think we can add some more chicken to this. So I'm going to cut up chicken I bought especially for the cats. The other one is still partially frozen, so I'm actually going to pop this back in the freezer for next time. So last time I prepared chicken, I ground it up in the blender. One of my cats doesn't like eating chunks of chicken, but this time I'm going to just make the chunks a little bit smaller because I do want them to chew some meat. Chewing meat is really important for their dental hygiene. Okay, so that chicken breast, I've already put in a spoon amount of this size into their containers. So I'm adding another half spoon to each, which has worked out perfectly. I am also going to add some I have real trouble saying this, Diatemaceous Earth, which is food grade fossil shell flour. It's completely natural, it's organic. So I'm just adding around a teaspoon into each one. Another thing that this clay does is it kills worms and fleas. If you have a small amount constantly, and any worms introduced into the body are just not going to make it. I'm going to stir it together. I've got a very high meat to vegetable ratio here, so I'm going to be adding more vegetables, and I'm also going to cook them a little bit more of the millet, because what went in is actually a really tiny amount. So I will add down below in the description box the nutrients that are in these additives that I've added. I'm going to stir them up and put them in the freezer. This afternoon I'm going to cook some peas and add about 1/4 cup of mashed peas into each container. I want the peas to cool down before I add them. So one thing the kitties have on a regular basis is wheatgrass. Angelina loves nibbling the wheatgrass. And the other thing that I often put in, not always, but when I can keep up, is alfalfa sprouts. Beautiful fresh alfalfa sprouts, and they get chopped up and added to the food as well. So I just add a sprinkling of the alfalfa. All three of them blissfully enjoying their dinner. Please like and subscribe if you're not already. Share this video with anyone who is interested in bringing up their cats in a natural, healthy way. Love your pets and be happy.